Right, Kevin. So on Saturday there, we were talking mostly about putting gear together, getting a good signal chain, how to use overdrive pedals properly, that kind of thing, and just generally how to get a decent lead tone for whatever it is you want to do. And then towards the end of it, we were talking about the natural minor scale. And we didn't really get so obviously we'll do a lot more on that, a lot more playing next week. But I just want to get a kind of a heads up on this, right? So we did it in D minor. Now, if you want to think about the natural minor scale, that's kind of like a filled-in pentatonic scale. Okay, so obviously 5 notes in a pentatonic scale, 7 in the natural minor scale, and that's kind of the standard. That's your do re mi basically right there. So that's the more complete scale. Now, just to keep in mind, right, what the pentatonic is missing is nope. There we go. Is the second and the sixth. Okay, so the pentatonic has first, third, fourth, fifth, seventh, and then of course by the time you get to the eighth, cycle starts around again. So what we're adding in here is there's the second, there's the sixth. Nothing new here. Then on the G string, this is where it kind of gets a bit awkward. You got to drop back a fret. So this is all coming from the 10th fret. So we're in D minor here. So 9, 10, 12. Now, but don't worry about specific frets, okay? Because obviously, in a different key, it's going to be a bunch of different frets. So it's the shape you want to keep an eye on. Okay, so back one, up one, up two. Then from here, up one, then two, then up two, then one. Okay, so I know you've got this written out anyway, but I'll just go over it here. Anyway, now with this, which finger to use is up to you really, but all I'd say is if it makes more physical sense, if you know what I mean, to use your little finger rather than kind of stretching to use your third finger, use your little finger, because try not to get into the habit of avoiding it because it's weaker than the rest. Because obviously, if you don't use it, it stays weak. Okay, so that's the scale. Now it's a case of sort of what to do with it. Okay, so first off is just play it. Just play it up and down, up, picking all the way. So now when you're doing this kind of practice, a little bit of gain is fine, a little bit of drive, but don't put like a ton of gain and a ton of reverb on it because you don't want to dull the edges too much. You want to hear if there's any. You don't want to be covering up your any sort of imperfections. You want to hear those and work them out. Okay, so just all the way up, all the way down, and over and over again. Okay, preferably to a metronome as well. I know that's might be a bit on the tedious side. You don't have to do it every time like that, but just definitely every now and then. You'll be surprised how difficult it is. But when you overcome that difficulty, your playing gets way, way, way tighter. It really, really does. So from there, just want to show you a couple of little patterns that we're going to be looking at. So we'll say. So just try that just for the first 2 strings, okay? Obviously, you can do this for the whole thing, but you're going down by a third. Now, remember, when you're talking in thirds, fifths, all that kind of thing, you count the initial position as well. It's not like a board game where you roll a 3 and you go 1, 2, 3. Here, you're going 1, 2, 3. All right? So down by a third and then back up by a second, down by a third again. So it's kind of like 3 steps down, 2 steps up. And it's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. It's in threes. It's kind of triplet kind of rhythm. Okay, so just try that one. So first of all, get as familiar as you possibly can with the scale. Okay, and just remember that it's a filled-in pentatonic scale with the second, and the sixth missing or filled in. Okay, so for now, just do it to death. Get really familiar with. More familiar you are with it, the less thinking there is involved in actually doing stuff with it. You know what I mean? And I'll show you just the amount of stuff that can come out of a scale like this. And we're going to talk about how to modify it. So, like, different vibes. There's the harmonic minor with the raised seventh, okay? And we were talking about other things like a raised sixth, kind of gives you a sort of a brighter, funkier kind of sound. We'll get into all that next week. But for now, just familiarize yourself as much as you possibly can with the basic natural minor scale. All right, talk to you then.